Another thing is women are creepy. Women can be very weird. Women can be very annoying. And it sounds harsh to say that, but like,
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
so you know how women say that men are creepy, like men are weird?
Yeah,
Women can be just as creepy, especially like when they're hunting for the top percentage of men. Women go and walk around areas just to find rich guys.
that's
Women will
crazy.
fly out to basketball games.
I know you had a birthday recently, right?
Yes, 2 days ago. It was August 3rd.
Did you do anything special that day?
So I actually don't really celebrate my birthdays too much. Not that there's anything like bad about it. It's just that I know birthdays are very special for a lot of people. I think that they're special when you're very young, but as you get older, I'm 31 now. It's just not a crazy thing for me. I just mostly try to journal and try to plan out. I do get a lot of calls and texts from people. So honestly, most of my day is just talking to people and catching up with them. So that's really what it was.
Awesome. So one of my first questions I wanted to ask you is, a lot of people say that if you want to become a winner, you have to surround yourself with winners, right? Do you think being around guys with money, power, or resources helped shape how you think, move, and level up?
Yeah. So it's theoretically like that statement, it can work very well for a lot of people, but also the problem is when you're trying to grow in life, you don't have a lot of winners. Like most people don't. Like when I was a lot younger, I didn't have winners around me. So what I did was I surrounded myself with books and I started watching a lot of content of people that were very successful. So I guess it is in a way, you just have to program your mind and your environment is literally everything. So, if you don't like the place you live, I would suggest that you move. If you don't like the people that you're around, watch people online that you actually like because the internet is available. So I would read books from very successful people, and I would watch a lot of sales coaches and videos. Back in the day, it was like Grant Cardone, Dan Locke, like all those big course sellers and those guys. And even though I didn't buy any of their courses or go to any of their growth cons or anything like that, I still really enjoyed their content, their energy. So yeah, energy is everything. So if you surround yourself with a lot of negativity, bad music, even music is so influential on us, it can really shape your mindset to be different than if you were surrounding yourself by people that were talking about mathematics, so on and so forth. Imagine for a second you went and lived with LeBron James. You would learn a thing or two about basketball. So just kind of how it goes. I do think it makes sense.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to kind of go back a little bit in time. The last time we spoke, I know that you mentioned that you were, homeless, and you were still discovering yourself. What belief did you hold about success or even women that completely changed once you got back on your feet?
Okay, there's a couple of beliefs that completely went 180 for me
Okay.
when it came to women. The first thing is, I think a lot of guys are scared to talk to women and
Hmm.
they're afraid to approach a beautiful woman. The most attractive women are typically not treated very well by guys. I don't know how to explain it in the best way, but um, they typically are attracting a lot of assholes. Okay, because confidence is rare nowadays, and assholes are really the only ones that have it. And a lot of attractive women don't have very good relationships with men. They don't have the best relationships with men. Even though you might think that they're getting a plethora of guys, they typically go for the guy that stands out the most and that is the most aggressive. And that's a guy that typically could be selfish, narcissistic. So honestly, dealing with pretty attractive women can sometimes be easier than dealing with a woman that you're not so attracted to. The second thing is it's always a win when you talk to a beautiful girl. Even if she rejects you, it's a win. You're sitting there talking to a very beautiful human being and that you're attracted to. And that's a moment, that's a memory in your life. Whether it's not necessarily going your way 100%, it's still something that's good. So if I see myself, if I'm talking to a good looking girl, that's still good. A lot of guys focus on the result, but not the process of it. And they don't fall in love with the process of just, hey, I'm here, I'm talking to her. It's a Saturday night, it's whatever it is. The other thing is, attractive women cheat the most. That was something that was very surprising to me. That kind of blew my mind. And that was really something I learned with coaching and just reading through the data. Beautiful women are approached more by men than any other. They're approached more. They're seduced by men. They're incentivized with let's go on a yacht, let's go on a jet, let's go here. I'll pay for your rent. Like whatever you can think of, trust me, they can get. And so they're more likely to lead with their physicality because those doors have been opened with that physicality and the opportunities given to them are with that physicality. And that's the payment form that every guy wants. So attractive women, a lot of women don't agree with this, but attractive women sleep around the most. And also, I used to think girls were like these perfect, like never cheat, could never do anything bad, could never scam someone, could never hurt anybody, and they're just as bad as men, in some ways worse, and obviously men in some ways are worse than them. So it just varies, you know. These beliefs were, I've learned a lot, you know.
Absolutely. And I'll link this back to another question I have for you ahead, but have you ever had a moment where it felt like the world was against you, but looking back, you're actually grateful that it happened?
Yeah. One time in my insurance company, I had a guy that I brought into the company as a consultant more so, and he was a very successful guy. He was a lot older, and he came in and basically tried to poach my entire insurance company from me. And he talked to my roommate at the time, who was a good friend of mine from college. And, you know, he's a good dude, nothing bad, but he basically filled his mind up with, I can give you better. You're not getting enough from him. And he basically tried to poach my entire company from me. And it felt like at that moment that a lot of people hated me and a lot of people didn't like me. And it really, really, that like 20, 30 people at the time felt like the world was against me because they had friends and I lived in a small city. And so I felt really sad, but I had a few people by my side, and that's all you need. You just need one or two people. One of my top guys that was in the business with me, you know, he's like, "Look, I'm always going to be with you, whether you're failing or winning," and that was enough of a belief that helped me get through that. But yeah, that moment it was not good. But there's a lot of moments like that. If two or three people don't like you, you magnify the situation in your mind. You think that these two or three people are telling everybody in town and they're spreading nonsense, and then these people in town are influenced by them and they bought into it, and now you're walking around and you think people hate you when in reality most people don't really care, you know.
Yeah, that's tough. And if you could go back and talk to the younger version of you before that mindset, right? Before the money as well, what would you tell your younger self about love and loss?
I think every young guy, first off with love, they believe that love is everything. A lot of young people are programmed to think that love is like the end all be all. I love her, you love me. It's all going to be okay. As long as we love each other, everything is fine. That's not necessarily true, and it's a very dark truth, and it's a very unsettling truth. Love is not necessarily like a reliable emotion. It's an emotion. You feel love, and that's also like the red flag right there. You feel it. You know, you don't know it, you feel it. And it can be up and down. And one day you can love somebody. And many people that build a relationship off of love end up, you know, not staying in love forever because there's moments that love does not necessarily fail, but it steps out, you know, and you have to deal with compatibility and what your goals are and all that kind of stuff. So I would tell myself, it sounds bad. I probably wouldn't believe myself, but I would tell myself like love is not what you should build your life around. It should be more around, you know, success, compatibility, how your goals align. Like these are the things that are important. And then love is very easy to build on top of that. It's not that it isn't important. It's just not what you should build everything around. And then when it comes to loss, loss is probably one of the best things that could ever happen to you in life. I think I took this pretty well. Like when my father passed away, when I lost a lot of friends in my life, it always taught me to become better, even through all the breakups that I've had where I've lost women that I've loved and cared about. Loss is like a wonderful part of life, and it's going to continue to happen, and it's going to continue to happen in a more aggressive way. But you have to be prepared that everything in life is not here to be forever. Even your physical you, the way that you are now, your eyesight, the way it is, your hearing, it's not going to last forever. So when you can become very okay with things being non-permanent and you can enjoy the moment and not in a cringy way, but like you can be very, very aware that this is what I have right now and be very grateful for it. That's where you can really win.
Yeah. I wanted to transition to masculinity, and you kind of talked about it a little bit too,
Mhm,
because the last time we spoke, you said that, and I agree with you when you said that men shouldn't be vulnerable with women, right?
mhm, mhm.
What's the real cost of vulnerability in your eyes, and what does that change when a man is fully secure in himself?
So are you
Oh,
well,
sorry. Does that change a man when he is fully secure in himself? Is what I mean.
yeah, so we're always gonna be vulnerable with like we're always vulnerable about certain things. Like no matter how successful you are, you're always gonna have some insecurities, and that's just naturally how people are. When it comes to men being vulnerable, right, with women, it's a very dangerous road because um women are attracted to men that are very, very they're biologically wired to seek safety and security.
Mhm.
So historically, on a biological level, men are protectors. They still are, like, you know. So when a man appears uncertain, emotional, or like just all over the place about anything, it can trigger these subconscious doubts in a woman that questions his ability to provide stability. So when you talk about problems at work, especially money is like the most taboo topic that you should ever talk about with a woman. It can trigger, like, when you're financially insecure, she's financially insecure because she's putting her life into your life. Women often also say they want vulnerability, but what they mean is be more open, with like, and tell me more things about your life, and being vulnerable only in a way that shows that there is an end result, that there is an outlet. Be vulnerable in a way that doesn't burden me with future destabilization, or doesn't emotionally burden me. So a woman is very good at feeling empathy for a man's emotions, but they're not necessarily great when the vulnerability feels like a loss of leadership and control, because that becomes unattractive. But a man that's very, I guess your second part of your question is, a man that's very confident, a man that's, more so secure in himself. You're never gonna not have, like, things that you're worried about. Like, I have things that I'm not 100% confident in. Certain decisions I take every day, I'm like, "Is this the best decision? Is this everything that I need to be doing?" Um, and so I think that it becomes, like, more of a habit more than anything else to, if you have a good group of people, you're habitually gonna go and talk to them and be able to solve problems. That's, like, the most important thing. But you're never not gonna be, like, worried about something. It's just that you get stronger, and so the problems that you worry about are theoretically, like, when you're young, losing $20 out of your pocket can be devastating to you, like, as a kid. I remember when I was young, I lost $800 in a day trading, and I was like, my life is over. Like, that's a lot of money. And it was a lot of money, and it still is a good amount of money. And it was like all I had. And I was like, my life is literally ruined. Like, I have nothing now. And it's pissed me off. But now we lose sometimes $80,000 in the course of a week. And it's like, okay, this is fine. It's not the end of the world. It's just part of the swings of trading, and that's how it goes. So you get more galvanized, but the problems are still going to hit.
Yeah. Is there a pressure once you level up to to perform masculinity a certain way, or risk losing respect?
Is there a pressure when you level up? Yeah, there's always okay, so when you have nice things in life, people judge you differently. Like, when you drive a nice car, people expect you to pay the bill. People treat you like you have a lot of money, and you may have a lot of money if you have a nice car. Maybe you're putting all your money in your car, but it's just that people hold you to an extreme standard, and that standard can become exhausting. So when you are the boss, when you are the leader, you enjoy the privileges of psychological reinforcement that you're in charge. But it comes at the cost of you technically spending more money, being more invested into things, organizing things, coordinating things, and it can be very exhausting. To answer your question properly, like, is like, the cost of being a masculine man is, people expect you to do things, even when it's not necessarily expected upon others. And so that can become very unfair in your head, because it's like, why do I have to do everything? Why do I have to be this person? So ironically, sometimes, like, even me, like, I don't try to be the biggest person. Like, I don't try to have the biggest car, or the fanciest watch, or I don't try to have the nicest jewelry on. Like, I just try to be someone that's like, "Hey, what's up? How's it going?" I'm very confident in myself, but it's not good always to be number 1. It's better to be number 2. It's better to be the follower of number 1. And this is, like, also very controversial, but I honestly think that the second position, is better in businesses, in corporate, in life, than to be the top guy. When you're the top guy in a friend group, in a business, you are dealing with all the pressure. And
Hmm.
it can be hard.
Absolutely. And I know last time you also mentioned that, there's men that are like the high value. I don't hate that word, high value men, but guys are like the top tier, the 1%, that they themselves even struggle with women.
Yes.
What are they often getting wrong about dating despite all their success, in your opinion?
Really good question. Really good question. So, the high value guy, quote unquote, the men that are at the top percentage, they they get an over influx of attention from women. And it's number one, the first part is filtering out. You have to learn to say no to women. I think traditionally, like, men, when you're 18 years old, there's not a lot of beautiful women that are hitting you up like, "Hey, can I come over tonight? Hey, can we watch a movie tonight?" It's not something that men experience, whereas women experience it from a very young age, even like 14, 13 years old sometimes, in
Hmm.
cultural societies. They're getting that attention not only in high school, not only in middle school, but they're getting it from older men as well, which is also crazy. So women are programmed and more geared towards dealing with it at a very early age. Women are okay with saying, "No, I gotta sleep early." Men, they're like, yo, she wants to hit me up. They'll put their entire schedule aside because I think a lot of guys when they're young, they think that their purpose is dealing with women. And that can sometimes stay there even when you become very successful. I know a lot of successful guys that can't say no to a woman coming over late at night. So that's one thing that they should really get. They need to learn to say no to women that are wasting their time. Another thing is women are creepy. Women can be very weird. Women can be very annoying. And it sounds harsh to say that, but like,
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
so you know how women say that men are creepy, like men are weird?
Yeah,
Women can be just as creepy, especially like when they're hunting for the top percentage of men. Women go and walk around areas just to find rich guys.
that's
Women will
crazy.
fly out to basketball games to go sit courtside to go and potentially fuck the guy playing. Men don't do that. Men are not flying out to games like that. Men do things that are weird. They go to
Of
strip
course.
clubs, they go to things like that. They do stuff, but not at the extreme level. Like when women are hunting, they're at a different level. They're coordinated, they're in a group, they look up all the background information of the man. And I applaud these women. I think like it's interesting, but women can be very, very creepy. They can be very manipulative. They can like, do
And
things that are very,
strategic as well, right?
yeah. I've had girls fish condoms out of trash cans. I've had girls leave like jewelry and panties and this and that, like that kind of stuff behind. Like when I was a lot younger and I was going out and about, like they did that to mark their territory and do certain things. They're very smart, like, so that the next girl, if she ever comes, there's an issue. And women will do things to mess up other relationships in a very secretive way. So, as a high guy, like a guy that's got it going on, you have to be very careful with who you let in the door, not only with women, but with men. But sometimes we give women like the pass, like, oh, she's a girl, she's harmless, she's a young girl. Like, no, she can be very dangerous. And also, the most dangerous thing about dating women is the potential situation that can arise. It's called a T3. That's what my lawyers call it, a triple threat. If you're a good looking guy, relatively attractive, if you're making a lot of money, and if you're very socially influenced and respectable, you are a high risk for sexual assault allegations and basically
Hmm.
like fake rape allegations. You're a very high risk for that. That is the most dangerous thing. Or, being trapped with a pregnancy, like, or a pregnancy scare.
Like what happened with Shannon Sharp recently.
Yes. Yes, what happened, I mean, it happens with a lot of guys, like a
Hmm.
ton of guys, and it is very, very dangerous, and it can really ruin your reputation. So when you're a performing guy, girls look at you like a money bag, a target. They don't look at you as a conquest. They look at you like, I need to secure him and I need to extract as much as I can. And there's a whole niche of women out there that are very, very like, I've been around these girls. I've been around the after hours conversations of them, and they're like, fuck these men, fuck these guys. Like it can be very bad. So you gotta be careful of these women. Not all women are like that. There's a lot of great girls out there, but the smaller percentage can really ruin your life if you get in bed with the wrong girl, your life is done. It's over.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads to my next question. Ay, ay, ay. How can you really tell if a woman likes you, not for your money or your lifestyle or even your name? Like if you're like an influencer or someone that has status, how can you really tell if she genuinely likes you?
So, wonderful question. I love these questions. So, part one of female psychology is women are always going to be attracted to money and power and success and, influence, right? And even though they say they are not, or I don't care for that, they're still on a psychological level still attracted to it. They want a man that's successful. Any woman with her head on straight is going to want a guy that's a winner. So, it's not bad to be a winner and to show that. And to be honest, women can smell your success. They can detect it even before you show it. So, my best advice is to not lead with money because that will ward off the women that are looking for a quick transactional exchange. So that's step number 1 to make sure that she likes you. But also take it slow, go a lot slower. I think a lot of guys rush it even when it comes to it sexually. I think a lot of guys try to pin a woman down first night and that kind of stuff. Because if you're leading with that transactional exchange, then she can give it to you and she can feign a lot of the stuff and it can mask your emotions. So I think that I talk a lot about the coffee date. I talk a lot about getting to know someone very slowly. I talk about walks and, just conversations over water. It sounds weird. It sounds boring, but that's the point. You don't want to necessarily be so entertaining as a guy when you first meet a woman. If she knows that you're successful and she knows that you have your shit together, she's going to stick around for that and for you and for your discipline. And you need to be able to show her who you really are. When I go and first talk to a woman, I talk about all the things that I'm not good at. I talk about all the terrible things about myself that I think that I can be better at. I tell her I'm impatient. I travel a lot. A lot of women would not want to date a guy like me, not in a reverse psychology sense. Like, I'm just a very busy guy, and
Mhm.
it's hard to date somebody that's so disciplined. I don't like to drink, and I don't like to like do drugs, and like genuinely, like I don't like to do any of it, and that really freaks people out. Like, not even just a little bit, like not even on your birthday. Like, no, I don't like to do anything like that. Um, I like to be very organized to the point where it may be weird for people. I'm focused on my success. I care a lot about my family. I support people in my family. So even the money that I have, I tell them that it goes to that my family, which is not entirely true. Like I take a percentage of it, but I still have a lot for myself. But the
Mhm.
point is, I'm trying to create a mindset in her that like, okay, this guy is very focused. He's very disciplined. He's very locked in. If I want to be with him, I'm going to have to assimilate into his life and potentially help him. And I'm not necessarily going to get straight cash and money from him. I'm going to get his who he is, his personality. And I tell her all these things that I'm not good at. And these all can be positive in a way too. Like helping your family is not a bad thing. Being disciplined is not a bad thing. Being clean is not a bad thing. So these are things that I'm putting in to frame the conversation to mold her towards really saying yes or no. And I tell her like, hey, like if I don't make sense for you, I'd rather you tell me right now because I don't want to waste your time. And I don't want to be someone that, you think that you can change because this is who I really am. So if you like me for who I am, that's great. If you want to go and party and have fun and be on yachts and go on boats and drink and do drugs and this type of stuff, which a lot of young girls do, a
Mhm.
shitload of them do that, then I'm not your guy, you know?
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that because I do a little test with women where because I like coffee dates as well, and I prefer that over taking to like a rooftop bar, expensive, steakhouse, restaurant, whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
And there's been women that I've met in my life that legit said, "Anthony, I don't care what you, I'll grab water with you just to spend time with you." And what a lot of guys they've told me is that the number one thing that they look for when it comes to courting a woman is a woman that makes her life a little bit easier and be their peace. Like little things that she doesn't need to do a lot. Like if you are doing content creating, maybe she could be the one holding the camera or pick up food for you, make your life a little bit easier to show that she's not just sitting on the couch at home doing nothing,
Right.
while you're taking care of her. You know what I mean? Is that something that you would also like agree with?
Yeah, I think here's the one thing I'll add in here
Hmm.
to my earlier point to kind of make sense. So at some point you have to invest in her. At some point,
Of
right?
course.
Because
Hmm.
if you just constantly bore her with the boring dates, like I would go on the coffee date first and then maybe I would go to a rooftop after if I like her and it makes sense.
Hmm.
Because at some point you have to invest because there's going to be a guy that shows up and he's going to invest from date 1 and he's going to take the girl and it's not necessarily wrong. So you don't want to lose, you're still in competition with other men. But when it comes to a woman being your peace, every woman is going to bring you problems. Every single woman is going to cost you money, time. There's going to be an
Of course.
anniversary. There's going to be a birthday. Like people think that relationships build you all the way. 99% of the time, you're being built in a very different aspect. Okay. So I want to explain this in the best way I can. Men are really their biggest problem. They're their biggest threat because our lust, our temptation can lead us down paths that are very bad. Like a guy that does not have a girlfriend is someone that's going out every night. It's someone that's going out on the weekends. And that is a lot of danger. Like people don't realize like when it's 2 a.m., okay, this is what I say when it comes to dating. That is the number one time to find women. Is the number one time to pick up a girl from the club. If you're going straight to gain girls and pull them back to your crib, that's the best time. It's also the most dangerous time in society. Like
Hmm.
right when the clubs let out Saturday, 2 a.m., it is the most dangerous time to be on the street. That is where a lot of gunshots, violence, stabbings, fights, and
Drunk driving as
yes,
well.
it's the most
Hmm.
dangerous time to be outside. It is the most being outside at that time is not safe. And you know, having a girlfriend will keep you away from that. Having a girlfriend can help mentally stabilize you at the end of the day when you have a bad day and she's there and she's ready to, take your mind off things by being intimate with you and by saying, "Hey, can I get you a water? Can I make you some tea?" Like these things are actually very good that women can do. And they're really, really good at it. So the benefit of having a woman is the emotional stability. And that's the area that you should really look for. You should look to take out your stress with the relationship with the woman. But on a financial level, there's going to be a certain level of chaos. On a physical level, there's going to be chaos. It's just women are always going to bring chaos to you in some way, but it's a trade off. So here's the
Yeah.
thing. if you have money and a woman comes into your life, then the money, losing a little bit of money is not going to really break you, right?
Mhm.
If you have a little bit of spare time in your life, having a woman in your life is not really going to break you. And theoretically, as you make more money and as you are busier, you have more stress. And so the trade off of a woman becomes really beneficial for you. But if you're a guy that doesn't have a lot of stuff set up, having a woman in your life will only cause more chaos, more problems, more destruction a lot of times. And so the way that you really utilize women in your life is very important. You have to have a woman that comes in your life and you have to kind of mold her to do certain things that make sense for you. And so even though a woman can come to your life and she may be chaotic and she may be all over the place, she can still be very peaceful if you know how to use a relationship properly. I've dated girls that have been party girls and this type of thing, and they've always been very beneficial to me because maybe I just see them here and there a couple times a week, or maybe we just go out in the day and grab a coffee. And even those girls that may be chaotic in a relationship could be very, very beneficial to you in a friendship base or in a situationship, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
So I think that if you know how to gear a woman properly, if you know how to like, I don't want to say train her, but like mold her properly towards your life and you have a good lifestyle, she's going to be very beneficial towards you as long as you're doing the right things. But yeah, peace is the biggest thing.
Have you ever had a have you ever had to walk away from a woman because you felt, sorry, that she was in love with the life you built and not the man that you are?
Yeah. So my last relationship, when I started doing social media, it really, really changed dramatically. I love the girl to death. She was a really good girl. We didn't have a lot of problems when I was a businessman because I was dealing with men mostly. But when I got on social media, she did not like social media whatsoever. She did not believe in it. She did not care for it. She always said, "You make a lot more money from your businesses. Like, why do you need to make money from this?" But it wasn't necessarily about the money for social media for me. It was like I was really passionate. It was the man who I was, like your question said.
Mhm.
And she did not like that. And so she would constantly try to not ruin, but she wouldn't support anything I did. She would be like, I would have a video pop up and be like, look at this video that I have. It's so good. And she'd be like, bunch of girls are probably commenting like, "Oh, those messages are probably going in your inbox. You just love the attention." And I'm like, "No, I love like that I'm actually doing something that people are interested in. Like it's
Yeah.
nice, like, you know what I mean? Of course we love the attention, but it's also, it's good in the same way." So, I had to walk away from her. I love that girl a lot. I broke up with her and it was a tough breakup for me because I had to let go of someone that I really cared about, that was really good for me at one point, that I could really never see any problems with, but as my lifestyle changed and I got something that I really was passionate about, she changed as well.
Wow. So, do you believe a woman can truly love a man for who he is?
Yeah, I think so. I think for sure. I think that if you become a disciplined man and a focused guy, like, yeah, women will flock to you. They'll love you. They'll adore you. And that success that you have, that money that you have is only
Mhm.
a receipt. It's only a consequence of who you are as a man. So when women say, "Oh, I love money," sometimes they love the guy because he's the creator of the money and the money is made by the man. So in an indirect way, it like when I see a guy that's very successful with a young, attractive girl, people could say, "Oh, she only likes him because of the money." True, but this guy makes the money. So it's like a very theoretical thing. Like, does she love the money? But this lifestyle is provided by the guy, and the only way she's able to access it is with him, and she becomes habituated towards him. And so
Mhm.
she starts to like him and his habits, and she starts to associate that with success. Women are attracted to men that are powerful, and they're going to be attracted to like if you're a powerful guy, they'll love you for who you are.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you because I feel like every man has what I call like the hero's journey of a
Mhm.
man.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to ask you, have you ever noticed this pattern in men where a guy falls in love with a woman, gets his heart broken, and that pain becomes the catalyst for his transformation?
Yes, happened to me multiple times. I mean, like I think that men, as binary as it sounds, I think that we exist for like to acquire women. Like we are very, very fixated on women. Women make everything better. Any guy that says, "Oh, I'm doing this for me. I bought this car for myself." I'm like, bro, like you're buying it for women. Like you're buying it for your ability to acquire. Like if we did not need sports cars and penthouses and nice watches to attract women, we would not have them. Like we
Mhm.
genuinely would not have them. No guy would be buying a sports car. That we'd be driving high performance SUVs or minivans and stuff like that, and we'd be completely fine. Like we'd be more utility based. Like we'd all be driving trucks. But because women like Ferraris and Lambos, which are theoretically terrible cars in practice, they're not good in terms of everyday use. Um, we buy them. We buy those cars because women love them. So I think that men do everything for women, and when women leave us, it makes us hurt, and it can either become a depressing reality that we accept, that we are like, "Hey, women don't like me," or it could be something like, you know, "Fuck this, like, I need to become better. I need to grow as a person." Every breakup I've had has motivated me to become a higher quality man, to acquire that woman back initially, or to acquire better quality women.
Absolutely. So, do you think heartbreak is necessary for a man to step into his full masculine purpose?
I do. Personally, I do, because you have to lose if you want to win. You have to be one of the biggest things I say is that if you want to win, you have to be willing to be embarrassed. Like you have to be willing to be like you have to be okay with people laughing at you. And heartbreak is one of those moments where you laugh at yourself and you feel like the world is against you as well. But yeah, you got to go through some pain in order to get the gain.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted to kind of ask you these reflective questions. And I know you kind of answered this the last time we spoke, but
Mhm.
in your experience, what brings the most,
Oops, sorry, my bad.
you're good. In your experience, what brings you the most fulfillment, not just for you, but for, or not just for you, but what do you think brings fulfillment for most men that you've known in your life? Is it peace? Is it passion, legacy, money, or maybe something else?
It depends on the guy. So for most men, I would say is women. It's sex, because the majority of men are not able to get sex on a consistent basis. So for most men, it is women, the acquisition and love and admiration and the validation of young, attractive, beautiful women, because most men never get that. So if you ask a 50-year-old, like 50-year-old men will that have not had a lot of success with women will trade their bank accounts, will trade their lives. That's why you see so many men in like really bad situations with women, because they care a lot. We're very biologically wired. I think for the top percentage of guys though that have easy access to women, that becomes very like boring and very common. And
Hmm.
so you start to chase legacy and longevity and like, purpose. I think that through that entire process, money is important, but I don't think money is worthless if it has no currency or medium to exchange it. Like if the girl does not care about money, then the money becomes worthless. But if the girl cares about shrimp and you can go buy shrimp next door, then the money is very useful. So I think that men care a lot about money initially when they're young because they know it can get them things. And then as you go through puberty and life, you start to care about women more, and money becomes your utility base, your tool to be able to acquire them.
Beautiful. It makes a lot of sense, and I hope that people watching get a lot of value from what you're saying because this is very important things that I wish I knew when I was younger myself. Uh, I wanted to ask, where did your knowledge about dating and women come from? I like, was it a mentor? Was it life experience? Was it like books that you read yourself?
It's psychology textbooks mostly.
Okay.
Okay, so there's 3 points of knowledge that I draw from. One is the data of dating. And a lot of data in dating is self-reported, and it's very confusing because there's not large sample sizes. But when you look at surveys about infidelity, about what women like, about this, that, and third, about all different factors, you can kind of draw conclusions from it. And then from there, understanding human psychology and how the brain works and how men and women are different is very important. Like when you understand on a core level that women seek refuge, safety, stability, it starts to click with why they go for certain things in society. But on a more microscopic level, there's also different productions of oxytocin, chemicals, neurotransmitters that come from men and women. Women have different mindsets towards pregnancy. They secrete oxytocin during breastfeeding and during childbirth, and so women have a stronger association with the child. Women also are not as physically built as a man, so they like men that are stronger. Like tall men are attractive to women because there's a
Hmm.
theoretically larger displacement of muscle mass that means more protection. They don't like now we have gyms where like a guy that's like 5 foot could bench more than a guy that's 6 foot. But in the back of the day, like they didn't exist. And men are like on a biological level, men are attracted to certain features on a woman, like even large breasts. Mammals don't really, they're attracted more to buttocks, like most mammals, but human beings are attracted to breasts. We're one of the only ones that have evolved that way because we look at it as nutrition, and it comes frontal instead of underneath. And so there's a lot of science to it. as to why men are attracted to women in certain ways. Symmetry in the face excludes Down syndrome, right? It's a good indicator of a lack of genetic problems. Um, there's a lot of things that, like, white teeth, we're born with white teeth. Like, our teeth are relatively white. So it signifies youth when you have really white teeth. When you have yellow teeth, even though you might be, you drink coffee enough when you're 15, like, you're going to get little stains, or you drink wine, you're going to get stains. And so that signifies youth. When we get veneers or anything like that, like, it means that we're young and beautiful. And these things, when you study biology, you learn the attraction factors, and you learn all the things that make people very motivated for sex and for the psychology of spending money. There's a bridge there. And then you use your own personal experiences, and you use your own, I'm going to go try this out. I'm going to go out wearing cologne and not wearing cologne. I'm going to go out being kind of like, I'm not going to lead with money, and then I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna lead with money. I'm gonna see what type of women I attract. And you can test this stuff out in small ways in your own life, and those data sets are so much more useful to you sometimes, because you have the real life experience, you have the emotions tied to it as well. So these three factors taught me a lot about women. It wasn't necessarily male dating coaches or the content out there, but a lot of male dating coaches go from their own experience. They talk about, I had this girl one time and blah, blah, blah. And that's not necessarily bad, but they're not looking at the raw data of, like, um, you know, when they say that, like, one of the biggest things that people don't really like that I say is that women cheat more when they're younger. It's true. It's a true data set. And men cheat significantly more when they're older. Okay. It's not a 50-50 thing. And another thing is, a woman's value starts to decline precipitously at 23 years old, because the selecting factor of what women look at is men look at 20 to 23. That's the highest range that they look at for marriage. And it's not necessarily that women look the best at that age. I think women look the best at like 26, 27. I think they're the most filled out. They know how to do their makeup. They got their stuff together. But men look at that because it's the best age that they feel like they can program a girl. Women also start to look at men badly at around 38 years old. Another data set that's very surprising that most people don't understand is that women like a man that grows with them in age. So 21-year-old women like 23, 22 likes 25, 23 likes 25, 24 likes 26, 25 likes 27, 26 likes 29. And I know the data by heart. It's typically a 2 to 3 year age gap until about 40. So a 45-year-old woman is still attracted to a man that's around 41, 42 years old. But men, even from 20 to 50, they're all geared towards 20 to 23. And this is from anonymous dating app data, when men select their range of what dating apps they want, or age range they want. So we find that men look for women that are 20 to 23 more than anything else. They prefer it, but they end up marrying girls that are a little bit closer to their age because it's socially taboo, and they can't reach that young. They don't have the value and penetration that young. And women will also want men around their age. Women want a man that grows with them. So when you look at all these data sets and you can put it together, you get a very different perspective as to dating, and you can carve out real science in dating and relationships.
And one thing I wanted to touch on with what you said is I noticed that men like younger women too, because they like a woman that doesn't have that much experience as
Mhm.
well. The older
Yeah.
woman gets, if you want to take her to Colombia, she's, oh, I already been to Colombia, or certain, like, the guys like someone that they could be her first,
Mhm.
right? And is that something else in the science that you've also like studied or read, or you've been experienced yourself, that men like women that doesn't have that much experience, body count, or even other things of that nature?
Yeah, so it's a psychology of dominance. It's a psychology of respect, right? So when you become a woman's first thing, there's a there's a mechanism that also makes you feel more powerful, because you're showing her something, you're giving her something, and you're demonstrating that you are unique in that value set. Not that you're the only guy in the world that's given her a ride in a Ferrari. Not that you're the only guy in the world that's taken her on a cruise. It's just that in the primitive aspect of it, you are the first, and you are someone that's been able to do that. So that's very important too. Like, one of the main reasons that I don't really talk to a lot of girls in Miami is because they've already seen everything. And
Hmm.
it's actually more advantageous for them to be single sometimes, because they're able to get the yachts, the jets, the lifestyle, the bottle service sections every night, the nice fancy $1,000 dinners every night. And I'm just not willing to do that kind of stuff for a girl, even if I'm in a relationship with her. Like, I'll do a lot of nice things, but I don't do that every single night. Whereas a girl here can get that every single night if
Hmm.
she looks a certain way. Now, mind you, there's a decision that she has to make to invest into a man, because that doesn't last forever. So that treatment starts to fare to really go away as she gets older and as she gets, more physically, more impaired, right? So it's like I'd rather go for a girl that looks at me like, "Wow, you're my man. Like you can do all this. Like I'm so fascinated by you." Because it makes me feel powerful and more dominant and more secure in the relationship. And those core memories being tied together are a lot more like powerful. Like they're safeguards for her cheating and for her doing something. Like she knows that, like when you're a girl's first in a lot of things, especially sexually, there's almost like a memory that's built, a core value that's built. Like this is my person for this. He has done this with me, and that creates more stability.
You're so knowledgeable, bro. And like, do you ever see yourself writing a book? And if you ever do, like, what message would you want it to carry?
Yeah, so I am writing a book right now. I appreciate that. So I'm writing a book right now on my coaching philosophy. I have 7 layers that I coach on, and it's mentality, physicality, finance, family, friends, social circle, hobbies, recreation, and relationships, and how they all tie together. And I coach on that philosophy, so I'm outlining it in a book. It's tough though sometimes to write a book and put everything in there because you want to put in so much more. But yeah, that's the first book I'm putting out. It'll be out pretty soon, and yeah, I'd love to download all my information that I study. Like I study a lot during the day. Like most of my day is studying, and then putting it into digestible content for people that they can utilize. And yeah, that would be my first book.
Oh, bro, I'm looking forward to reading it. I got you. I'd love to get as much knowledge from you and definitely recommend it to other people as well. Last question for you, because I know you're a very busy man. Uh, what do you think is more important for a man to live life by? Happiness or purpose, and why?
Purpose by far. So happiness is like here and there. It's up and down, and it's not necessarily like there's days I wake up and I'm not happy, and it's just how it is. And if you live your life off of emotion, like it can become a very emotional life, which has very inconsistent results. Purpose is definitely a lot better. Um, it's just going to keep you grounded a lot more. You have to be able to function when you're not feeling good. And there are many times in the day that we don't feel good, like we're tired, we're groggy, we get an email that we don't like. You have to be able to emotionally reset. But the reality is, we're not always good at emotionally resetting. And the only thing that can reset you in a good way is your purpose. Your purpose is like, okay, I have to become this. I have to do this. I have to be the bodybuilding champion of the world. So even though I am not happy eating this chicken broccoli rice every day, it's miserable, it's terrible, it's annoying. I know my purpose, and that will get you. The thing is, when you're able to sacrifice fun and you're able to give up a lot of things, the things that you're offered in life become more interesting. So if you give up
Mhm,
partying and you go and become disciplined, you become a successful person, the parties you're invited to are better. So when you give up partying, the
mhm.
parties you get invited to are better. When you give up women, like when you say no to women, the women that you're around and you get are actually going to be better in the future. So purpose is, in my opinion, the best thing. I think men and women should focus on purpose. Women are more likely to focus on happiness though. They're very
Yeah,
keen to their happiness. Women leave marriages because they're unhappy. Men leave marriages because there's typically a lack of purpose or a very heavy in incongruence, you know? So marriage and divorces, 80% of it is done by women. So
yeah,
purpose for sure.
absolutely. Sumi, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you? And do you have any events, any things upcoming that you want to promote at this moment?
No events right now. Got the new book coming out soon. That'll be out in a couple months. Sumi Basani on every single platform. There's a lot of information on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, TikTok, even Snapchat, Instagram. I'm on all platforms.